Zeebzob podcast.
You are listening to the Zeebzob Pinewood Derby podcast, episode 11, brought to you by Goat Boy Products, makers of high-quality Pinewood Derby tools, wheels, and axles. Special guest this week, E3 PWD and Fumbles. And now, here's your host, Zeebzob. All right, welcome back, all you Zeebzob podcast fans. This is Zeebzob coming to you from the Zeebzob studios in Mukwonago, Wisconsin. Quick reminder that it's new. My website is now just zeebzob.com. You can go there. You're going to find Morpheus. Click on the blue pill to go to my board. Click on the orange pill to go to my my podcast, and click on Morpheus's bald head to get to my Dollar Shave Club membership, where you can sign up right there. With me in the studio today, we've got Mr. Todd Meyer, E3 PWD. Hey, Todd.
Hey, Andy.
Also, we've got Tony V, known as Fumbles. Tony, I don't even know your last name.
Vorax.
Tony Vorax. That is awesome.
That is a cool last name.
That is cool.
It was shortened. It was Greek.
Really?
It was Voraxakis.
No, I thought it was going to be like Vorax Papadopoulos or something.
Yeah, no.
All right, one more quick thing. We do have a new Twitter follower, Mr. Josh Christensen, who is at Derby Chip Josh. We ring the Twitter bell for you. Woo! All right, so guys, this is awesome. I've got two guests at one time in the studio. We are here at the Zeebzob facility to watch the UFC fight tonight, so that'll be a lot of fun. Now, let's get to know Tony.
Oh God.
Yes. He is a new racer. You have dipped your toe into league racing, and you came away a winner in the basics. Congratulations.
Wow. Blind squirrel finds a nut
every once in a while, but that's all right. They need to. So that was pretty cool. So tell us about your experience. And now you are an airline pilot, so you don't really get to watch the races all the time, because I mean, it's really cool. I've talked to him, and I find it so fascinating, because I'm just I'm such a boring person, really, when I talk to all these people. This guy flies like Hong Kong all the time, you know. I sit home and watch Saturday Night Live or something. So tell us a little bit about that.
No, it's just I grew up building airplanes.
Sure.
As a kid, threw paper airplanes out my window as a kid and everything like that. And next thing you know, here I am getting into an airplane. It was a couple of years back, and here I am now. So, I mean, the international flying for me is the best, because it's the best bang for your buck. You get the most hours for the amount of time you're away. So
sure.
I'm home more. It's great.
Yeah, that's cool.
You're just on the wrong side of the clock all the time.
Yeah, exactly. When we had the race here at the Zeebzob Speed Shop a few weeks ago, you were watching from Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, yeah.
And but it was like, 2 or 3 in the morning or something there. Yeah.
You still can't sleep anyway, so
right.
I'm up checking stuff out, making comments, and you guys are out there sitting at the track. And
yeah.
And
that's Pinewood Derby dedication right
there.
there.
It is, yeah.
Props, man. Props.
It's cool. It was my first race to watch, so I mean, it was it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So how'd you find the hobby? How'd you get into it?
My son, he's
Sure.
a scout, and we last year was the first year we did Pinewood Derby. And I went on the internet, looked all over the place, didn't find a whole lot. And yes, I bent the rear axles.
Ooh.
Here it comes. And we prepped on a treadmill.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
I'll be the first to admit it.
That is like a sin.
Oh, I know, it totally was. So
Did you get on the treadmill with the car?
yeah, and crush
At
it.
least burn some calories?
It was a neighbor's treadmill. Thank God we don't own one. So I mean, and the car did well. We were really surprised. I think the reason the car held up because it had the big heavy wheels. But
sure,
Pete won last year. It was great. And
That's
he did
cool.
a lot of work. And then this year we cut the body in half, and I helped him with the first half. Got done with it, and it looked okay. But he goes, "Dad, I think I can do this whole thing myself." And the little man cranked it out. I couldn't believe it.
Cool. How old is he?
He's 9.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, he did all the hard work on the body, and I was real happy. We did the drilling the holes in the axles with the jig.
Yeah.
So that made it easy for him. I just had to run the drill.
Yeah, the Goat Boy jig.
It was great.
Yeah.
And then he polished the axles, and I showed him how to true the wheels and everything on the lathe. And
Nice.
little man just sat there, and we worked 2 months on the car.
Okay.
So he's really excited to go race tomorrow on Monday.
Nice.
Just ecstatic. He can't wait.
Yeah.
And the car seems pretty good. We made a couple passes with it on a test run a few days ago that they set the track up, and it was pretty fast. So we did 3 passes and put it away.
Good. Well, that's great. And you found John's site right away, or were you at some other ones?
That was pure luck this year.
Okay.
So as I'm doing more research on the web, I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do what I did last year with my son. So we stumbled on the website. We found like 3 or 4 websites. And this is the one that was, obviously better organized, I thought. So it had a great forum and a lot of good information. I started perusing around, and I jumped on it and did a search of like, hey, who's in the area? Next thing you know, you pop up, and somebody else made a comment up, so who's up north that said...
that was probably like Twisted Iron or something like that. I think he's from northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, I can't remember. And then Mario popped up on there and said, hey, we do a lot of club racing. And so I sent you an email, and it kind of went straight downhill from there. So
yeah, that was... I always love it when there's a new guy coming out of Wisconsin that's close to my house. We can get together and test, and you're not too far away, so
30 minutes.
Yeah, that's not too bad, really. When you think about how few and far between some of these guys are, and if they don't have a track, even though some of these guys without tracks, just I don't know how they're doing it, but they're just crushing. But yeah, it's always nice to get together with somebody who's got a track and can. Just the camaraderie that we have. I mean, I love it when you guys come over. It's a lot of fun, and so it's one blessing that I have for sure that I've gotten into this. So, and then of course we've got Todd over there. Todd came over today, and he brought this video, his DVD of him racing his drag bikes, which we talked about in podcast episode 2, and it's just amazing watching those things go. So, thank you for bringing that over, Todd.
No problem.
That's so you were saying you running the 820, it's the breakouts, right? An 820 pass. And so explain that a little bit for people that don't know racing like that.
That's the fastest index for the sportsman racers. So we leave on a pro tree, which means it's a true reaction time. Anyone that's ever been to a drag strip, the sportsman tree is the most predominant tree. So basically, once both racers are fully staged, there's 3 lights, yellow lights that come down. There's a half second in between, and then there's a green light. And what's really fun with newbie racers is they're going as soon as they see green.
Sure.
Yeah, you're on the late show by the time you're spending time with Johnny Carson if you do that. Yeah. You need to leave around the last yellow. So the way it works is you want your front wheel, the back of your front wheel, to pass by the laser beam, which is guided to your front of the leading edge of your front wheel, just as that light turns green. So a sportsman tree, there's a half second between the last yellow and the green.
Okay.
So to me, even though they call it a reaction time, it's more of a timing than a reaction time. On a pro tree, it is a reaction time. You see all 3 yellow ambers flash. And however you're set up, a button, or like I like to dump a clutch, throw the clutch handle, you got to have your bike set up. So as soon as you see that yellow, those 3 yellows flash, you dump the clutch, and bam. A perfect reaction time is the back edge of the front wheel unblocks that laser beam. It's so similar to Pinewood Derby racing. It's scary.
Sure.
Yeah. The timing system there. But the 820 class, you both leave on a pro tree. First one to the finish line, 820 or above, wins. If you both go under 820, the one that goes under the least wins. What most people get confused with is they think it's a contest to get the contest to run 820. The clock doesn't start until you move. So I'll give you an example. You and I are racing, Andy. We're both in this 820 class.
Okay.
You have a 1 second reaction time, and you run exactly 820. It took you 9.2 seconds to get to the finish line.
Gotcha.
I run 840 on the 820, but I got a perfect reaction time. I got to the finish line 0.2 of a second over the index. So in that scenario, I train lengthed you by the end of the track. Now, the crazy thing is, in pro racing, they never lift the gas. Matter of fact, pro racers use blinders. They don't even want to see their competitor.
Really?
Sportsman racers, we want to see our competitors. When I'm done shifting around 1,000 feet and I'm in fifth gear, high gear, I'm not even looking down the track anymore. I am watching my competitor. I'm looking in his eyes like frickin' Clint Eastwood. I want to see what he's thinking, what he's doing, what he's going to do. I might even pretend with my non-throttle hand. I hope there's no drag racers listening. I'm giving away secrets.
Oh, your secrets.
I might take my clutch hand instead of my throttle hand, and I might start. Hope there's no kids listening to this podcast. I might start stroking.
Ooh. How dare you?
I might start insinuating I'm lifting the gas with my non-throttle hand. My throttle hand is pinned.
Just so that he sees something out of the corner of his eye.
And I hope when he sees me pretending to dump the throttle, he dumps his. Then I can get off the gas a bit. There's no way I'm going under 820. Because if I go 819.9, I lost. Unless he goes under 2. Now that's where the games come in. I set my bike up differently depending who I'm racing. If I know a guy's going to follow me, I might set it up to run an 817, make sure I get a killer reaction time, and at the end of the track, I will dump and let him just blow by thinking he's got this covered.
And he'll break out.
I'll break out on purpose.
Right,
but he'll break out worse.
He'll break out where it's crazy how it works. It's not a game though. It's still a race. But to me, pro racing would be so much easier.
Yeah.
The only thing is you need.
But that whole thing that you're playing with there, that's in the last couple hundred feet.
Yeah.
And what is that, like just a fraction of a second?
Yeah, that's what stinks about it. And I blow this more often than I get it right. Whatever I decide to do at the last second, and sometimes I'm even thinking in the trailer what I'm going to do to this guy, right? I got it all figured out. It's all mapped out. And then I might not get the reaction time I thought, or I might be 200 feet out and it spins a tire. And I've already had it where I'm 200 feet out, it spins a tire. I'm carrying 200s. That means I got the bike set up to run 818, right? Mm-hmm. I should know it spun the tire. There's no way I can break out. I should just pin the keep the throttle pinned, run it through, not even look at the guy. But I'm so trained to look at this guy and see what he's doing. I've given away races like that, where I'm chopping the throttle at the end, and I think I'm 2 feet in front of him. Yeah, he got by me by nothing. You know, some of these races, they're won and lost by 1/2000. I mean, again, it's so similar to Pinewood Derby racing.
Sure. Now, you had a story about some guy that you raced and beat. Tell us about that guy.
I'm not going to mention names here, but the guy's out of Lancaster, New York.
Okay.
I believe he's out in New York, and he's a hotshot racer. And in 2007, we were at Indianapolis, and him and his teammate had identical bikes, beautiful bikes. One was red, silver, and black, and one was blue, silver, and black. I didn't know these guys from anything. It was the first time we ever ran Top Gas. I didn't know these guys. We're in the lanes. I accidentally lined up next to the blue, silver, and black bike. And I'll mention that guy's name. His name was Joel Ray, who was an ex-champion.
Okay.
And he was cool. He was very nice to me. His teammate, which I'll leave unnamed, we'll call him Nobby for now. Nobby, I wasn't lined up next to him, and I should have been. So at the last minute, he's reading me the riot act in the staging lanes because I wasn't lined up next to him. I'm like, well, the bikes look the same. If you really looked at him, is what he said. And he had a thick Brooklyn accent, okay? If you really, I can't do the accent, but if you really looked at the bikes, you want to fill in for me here?
Yeah, no.
I
don't know if I could do a Brooklyn.
Look, he sounded like the guys on Jersey Shore, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And he's just the rudest guy I think I've ever met, ever. He said if you had looked at the bikes, you'd have seen the differences. I didn't see the differences. They looked exactly the same. So I ended up having lane choice, which is based on the previous round on who ran closer to 820.
Okay.
He didn't like that to begin with, that I had lane choice. I had lane choice. The guy was just a dick to me the whole time. So I'm a little slow to stage, probably like I am in Pinewood Derby. I probably take another...
I hadn't noticed.
I probably take another 10 to 15 seconds than the next guy. And I'm not going to make any excuses about all the stuff I got to do. I'm just a little slower, okay? This guy, that must have got totally in his head, which every drag racer says, do not let the other guy's routine mess with your routine. Right. You do what you do. You let them do what they do. Even though most of these bikes are air-cooled in the class I run, they're not going to overheat because you let them run another 10 seconds at the starting line. This guy, we run. I didn't know I beat him. Mm-hmm. It was a really tight race. And when we got off the track, I went to shake his hand. I thought he won.
Yeah.
I went to shake his hand. And when I went to shake his hand, he wouldn't shake my hand. And he called me every name under the sun. He freaked out because he knew he lost. By the way, this was in the semifinals. And he took his $500 Arai helmet made in Japan. Mm-hmm. And he threw it down on the pavement and he wrecked it.
Wow.
Then he went and he sat on the lawn in a leg crossed position that he probably learned at his anger management class to settle down. His teammate told me not to worry about it. And his teammate's yelling over at him, how many times I got to tell you, don't let what the other guy does get in your helmet.
Yeah.
That's kind of irony that he said in your helmet.
Yeah.
Because that helmet didn't exist anymore. And he just told me, don't worry about it. And I didn't worry about it. We went and kept going, and that was the end of his day. And looking back on it, I'm very happy that I ended his day.
Nice.
And I wish I could do it again.
Yeah. So how fast do these bikes go?
Low 160s.
Okay. So at about 160, Tony, you're thinking about lifting your front wheel off the ground, right?
That's 100 and... You get some decision speeds. V1 is like we're going. So anything happens after V1, you're going. So V1's about 145 to somewhere in there, 150. So you're rotating the nose at through 160 to 170 in there.
Yeah.
Nice.
So and then all right. So you and Tony flies the 777, the Boeing 777, that big mother, and that. Is that as big as a 747?
No, 47 is bigger.
It is, okay. And the 47, that's the one that's got the cockpit up top.
Right.
And in the nose is like where first class usually is, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the 777 doesn't have that bulge.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It's got 6 wheels on the main landing gear on each side. That's how you can tell it apart. And we call it Bigfoot because of the footprint that it leaves on the ground.
Yeah.
And then the 747, we call it the 400 because it was a 747-400.
Sure.
And we call it the whale.
Oh. Yeah. And how many engines does the 777 have?
2.
Oh, it's got 2. Okay.
2 one on each wing, and then you got an APU in the tail.
Okay.
So if you need extra electrical backup or something like that, you got the APU you can crank.
Yeah, because the 747's got 4 engines, right?
Yeah.
2 in each wing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And an APU.
Yeah. You know, I was telling Tony a story one time. You know how when you're flying somewhere and the captain will come on and give you some interesting information. One captain was like telling us about the Pratt and Whitney engines you have hanging off the wings there, and they're delivering so many horsepower. And and flying out of Milwaukee, he said, "You guys would probably find this interesting. That is equivalent to 22,000 Harley Davidson motorcycles or something like that." It was pretty funny. But the funniest one was we were coming back from Mexico, middle of winter. And coming home, and as we're descending into Milwaukee, the captain comes on the overhead, and he says, "Welcome to Mitchell International Airport. Current time is whatever, and the current temperature is 70 degrees. colder than the place you just left. I'm like, oh. Oops. Yeah, you jag. I'm like, everybody's looking like it's 70 degrees out there, but
Nice.
yeah. So what are some of the more interesting flights that you've had? I mean, okay, so you go to Hong Kong, I find fascinating. You said you love going to somewhere in Germany, right?
Yeah. Munich.
Munich, okay.
We went there for what was it, Oktoberfest. Caught the last day, but it's awesome. The guys in Munich know how to party.
I bet.
Yeah.
Did you drink some Oktoberfest beer?
We did.
That's
We did.
great.
I got a picture of me holding the biggest beer stein I've ever seen and an enormous pretzel. My wife goes, those things make you look small.
It's like,
Yeah, because if you've seen, I mean, people think that I'm a big guy. Tony's a big guy. How tall are you?
6'9" with the afro.
wow.
No, 6'3" and a half, 6'4", somewhere in there.
You're
I
a
think
big guy.
I'm
So
starting to shrink now.
Yeah,
I think,
you're about the size of Ian. So Ian's a big guy like you. But
So was the small stein like 96
That
ounces?
thing was enormous, yeah. That was just the start of the day when we got there, it's just giant beer garden, and everybody, you sit at a table and there's 7 or 8 other people around you and you end up just talking to everybody around you. So
I suppose what's cool is when someone says, how much did you have? And you say, I only had one.
yeah,
one big
one beer, one for lunch.
Yeah. What? No. Okay. So kind of walk me through this, how this works when you fly to a place halfway across the Earth. How long are you there for before you fly back?
You have to decompress.
Yeah.
Because, you have certain flight hours you can be airborne. So you're roughly there, at least on the international stuff, 28 to 37 hours, something like that.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
before you can turn around and come back.
Wow. And that's just like free time for you?
Yeah, and you're usually sleeping.
Yeah, I bet.
When you first get in there, you try to time it so that you can at least go get a bite to eat. So either you hit the sack right away, like if you go to Europe, you hit the sack right off the bat, sleep for about 4 hours, then get up and go out for dinner. Then you can kind of start getting tired before you go back to bed and get up for your flight. So when you're over in the Orient, though, everything's totally opposite.
Yeah.
13 hours off. So you kind of look at it, and we call it the dog principle. You eat when you're hungry, you sleep when you're tired.
Sure.
And just make sure you're ready when the flight comes up for when you go. But
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm so boring compared to
Me
this kind of
too.
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, but you know what it causes me to do is on my days off, I don't want to go anywhere.
Oh yeah, I bet.
My wife's like, let's go over here. I'm like, no, I don't.
Last thing I want to do, honey, is get into a plane.
Exactly. it's a curse, actually.
Yeah, that's why I didn't become a gynecologist. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, no. You didn't go there.
It would ruin it all.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyways,
Wow.
I guess some Pinewood Derby talk that we should address. Todd, you wanted to talk about something that's come up on the boards recently about all these shills and commercials that are happening to all the noobs when they ask a question, and it seems like they just get hammered with or peppered with product endorsements.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention any names.
I don't think you need to.
The guilty know who they are. But I don't know. I guess I just still see negativity coming up on these boards, and I don't know. I would just rather see people race, not complain so much, not bash people. I mean, it seems like certain people get targeted for bashings for some reason, and I don't know what it is and why they do.
Well, I'll tell you, Derby Dad's got a big target on his back, and it's not really justified. He's the nicest guy.
Yeah, he's kind of the guy I'm talking to, and since you mentioned his name, and I don't care who thinks I'm trying to get on the nut swing here. Honestly, for me personally, the guy's been nothing but nice to me.
Oh, sure.
He's bent over backwards. I'll give you an example. Through my own fault and USPS, and I'll split the percentage. It was 62% my fault and the rest USPS.
Okay, 62. Huh?
Well, I wasn't cutting these boxes right. I thought I was, but I wasn't.
Sure.
And it was busting the wheels. So I was cutting the top foam correctly, but not the bottom. And, John was the one that was walking me through later how to cut the foam. I just wasn't even thinking about it. And I'm very detail-oriented, but I just wasn't thinking about it. Of course, in the back of the car, there's so much weight.
Yeah.
The car will move around when they throw your box. So I'm busting these, $60, $70 wheels on these razor wheel cars every time I'm sending them out there. And honestly, I was getting to the point where...
You were putting them in the box broken, right?
Yeah, because you knew you'd get a free one. Yeah.
Exactly. You know,
Honestly, I was getting so frustrated with this. I could barely even think about sending again, but I kept going, you know. And there was one race, I think John gave Joel the wheel, and, you know, it wasn't exactly the diameter that was on the other side, but it was a good wheel.
Sure.
I think Joel put it on. I don't know if it was already prepped or if Joel had to prep it. I'm sure he put some oil on it. John provided the wheel. The car TQ'd.
Nice.
And the car came back with the wheel. And when I called John, hey, I'll send you back this wheel, he said, keep it. So I ended up sending that the next race in case I got busted wheels as a spare wheel. I mean, the guy's been nothing but nice to me.
Yeah, I mean, and he's done it for me too. And Glenn Jukes just did it for me too. I had a busted wheel out there a couple months ago. He put one on there. The car came back with the wheel on there, the good wheel. And, you know, so, hey, thank you very much. And since then, I always send some spare wheels for the bearing cars just in case, because I feel bad that, you know, these guys are putting wheels on there. You know, obviously, you know, if they make them or whatever, it's not like they're out a ton of money. But you think about it, they could also sell that wheel for money. So they are out money, you know. And it, like you said, they bend over backwards. But I think John's got such a big target on his back because you know how it is that like back in the 90s, early 2000s, hated the Cowboys because they always won. Well, John was the guy that always won.
No,
you know? So,
for sure.
Yeah, you always, you know, if a guy wins too much, you kind of root against him a little bit. But, and I think there is a little bit of that because, I tell you, and I always marveled at this. John, when he got that oil process down, he was smoking people so by so many car lengths. It was not even fun. He'd even run a car in several different classes, like, you know, class it up, like you take your eliminator car and run it with the unlimiteds, and it was like pretty much keeping up. So it was pretty amazing. And he, you know, that's the thing of it. And I mentioned this in a post recently that had John not been selling the secrets and just, you know, being a racer and keeping all the secrets to himself, we'd be nowhere near what we are now. And that's true. So it is what it is. And it kind of goes with, you know, being the guy on top. Everybody wants to knock you down. But,
yeah, I totally agree. And you know, my old drag bike mentor, who's deceased now, one of the things he told me, a lot of things he told me, but it all applies. One of his favorite sayings was, you got to pay to play.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you're a scout racer, you got to do enough or spend enough. And this goes back to this post that kind of got on my nerves a little bit.
Mr. B was really fired
even
up
though
about that.
I didn't go in there and really voice my opinion or anything, but it kind of got on my nerves, right? So scout racing, if no one's spending any money and you're clever and you know what you're doing, you can probably win your scout race without spending any money.
Right.
But we're league racers, and I don't know what you guys think. Jump in, correct me if you think I'm wrong, even though you know I'm right. League racing is not scout racing.
It is not.
It is not.
oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Scout racing is how people like myself get started.
Yep.
Yeah.
And after that, there's similarities, but it's not the same thing. So you can't bash people that are willing to spend money. Now, I'm not so much into, I don't want to buy maybe a complete car off somebody, fully prepped and all that. That's not who I am. I'm not going to rip on someone that does that, though, to learn. I'm just not going to. If it's going to advance this, I'm not going to call it a hobby. That's another thing that irritates me. All the guys that call it a hobby. It's not a hobby. I don't know what it is. Is it a sport?
It's a sickness. What are you talking about? It's addictive.
Yeah, but what is it? Is it a sport?
I always call it a hobby. Just,
I know you do.
But
That's all it fits into in my
maybe it's a
category.
spobby, kind of a sport hobby. I don't know.
It's still racing, though.
Yeah,
That's what kills me.
It is. It is still racing.
As much time as I put into these little cars, I just can't, you know, the whole toy car thing.
Yeah.
Everybody out there that's put posts out there, please forgive me. These are not toy cars. These are serious little racing cars.
Yeah, but
They're not toys.
Speaking of it being a sickness, this guy over here, Tony,
He's on fire.
He's a madman
He's
with your
on fire.
build. I get so many texts and pictures of him, and he's got these bodies all stacked up. I'm like, I've been planning to build one, and I still planning it. I mean, and he's got like 10 of them done. I'm like, oh gosh.
I've got. I've always enjoyed stick building things, right? So
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the hunt for the perfect body that I could do one build and just make it. I know what I'm going to build. And I know what it's going to come in. It's going to come in X amount of grams, and I built one that's 4.4 grams.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I've got one.
Wow.
That's 19 grams lighter than most of my stuff. Not even kidding you.
Yeah, I know you're not.
And it's got flex. Now I'm going to start working with what I would call medium flex, less flex, and then very rigid. 3 different phases. So the one that's rigid, I've got it down to about 7.0 or 7.2 grams, and I want to see what that's going to be like. Is it because I bought a car to get started to see how this was done because it was so foreign to me, and looked at basically just deconstructed. I didn't take the car apart. I would never do that, but I looked at it and said, okay, here's what you got to do to get the thing riding on 3 and rail and all that
Right.
stuff. So,
Sure.
but I'm trying to, and the car's got flex, and I'm what I would call medium flex in my book. But the thing is just a missile. So obviously wheel prep and axle prep is huge in this thing, obviously. But I'm trying to find out if that car had a very rigid body would be even faster. So I'm going to start playing with. I've got 4 bodies now that vary in flex that I'm going to enter in the next race, all in basics, and, and see what happens. I'm going to prep everything the same on the wheels and axles, and then we're just going to let the body make the decision.
Cool.
I really do think there's something with having a body that isn't flexing too much.
Yeah.
Even if it weighs more. Honestly, if guys have read the posts, I haven't tried these lightweight bodies yet because I'm not that good of a builder, honestly.
Well,
I'm all about the solid body cars.
Yeah.
But I think I've done pretty well with them.
Yeah, I'm real interested to see what these cars of yours will do once we get them together and get them testing, and get those 4 bodies you're talking about prepped and ready to go, and just see what they do in test sessions.
The hard part's going to be drilling those rear axles, because I did pick up a block for doing the drilling, but I don't have a press set up with fences and stuff.
Okay.
So I mean, Ian's block is going to be the way to go, but that dictates what width you have. So I mean, I'd like to have Ian do me a couple of them at a custom width.
Yeah,
that would solve all my problems. Right.
I wonder if you could do something. This would be kind of cool, like an adjustable width, like a dovetail.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask Ian about. Is do that miter box dovetail thing and slide it back and forth.
Yeah,
if he could do that, that would just be awesome.
If you shim the one you have, though,
I have
now it's set up for 1.750, 1 3/4.
Yeah.
If you're trying to drill a car that's 1.5, you're going to need some serious shims, right?
Yeah, I actually did that for a while. I borrowed Andy's block, and I was. The problem is when you drill one side, then you got to move it, and then you go to the other side and you shim it to the other side. Now, am I lined up or not? And honest to God, 60% of the cars that I did that way, even though I've got a pin coming in from the other angle to try to hold it in place, it's still off because of that angle. So I still missed with 60%. So my failure rate was above half. So
I always shim with tape.
Oh, hey Todd, see that thing in front of you?
Yeah,
that's a microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's like I'm having a conversation with this guy's right in front of me. Yeah. I'll have to look at him with my one chameleon eye and look at you with the other.
That'd be cool if you could do that.
I always that's how I look at the drag race guy next to me and still look at the finish line.
One eye moves.
Yeah,
I got a story. Remind me when you're done with yours to tell you about something like that.
I always try to shim with tape. If the black is 10, 15, even 15 thousandths light, most tapes that I've found that like masking tape are 4 thousandths. I'll carefully shim each side evenly. Not one to the other, all evenly, and then I'll drill. And I've had pretty good luck with it. So
cool. All right, I got to tell you the story. So my buddy Joe, who listens to the podcast, hi Joe. He's not a Pinewood Derby racer, but I used to have this Mercury Lynx was my daily driver car, and somebody broke in and stole my jacket or whatever, but they busted the side window, the passenger side window. So I had to replace it, and I go to a boneyard to get a replacement window. And, when you take the door panel apart, there's that plastic sheeting in there that, to keep the weather from getting inside the car. So, I pull that off and I get to where it's riveted in, drill it out and, bolt the new window in and whatnot. So I'm looking at this plastic sheeting. Well, now that I pull it off, it's not really sticking back on. So I'm like, well, okay, I went and got some 3M spray adhesive, and I sprayed the door, put the plastic sheeting back up. Perfect, Then of course I rolled the door up, and there's a big streak of that of that white the adhesive, And being as lazy as I am, and since it's on the passenger side and I don't really care, I left it there. So it was a big white spoogey looking streak on the side of the window, So I used to work with Joe, and we had to go somewhere for lunch one day. We went shopping for something. I don't remember what it was, but as we're driving, all of a sudden, Joe, we're driving down the road. Joe's just looking at this white stuff on the window, and he starts scraping it with his finger. And I said, just like this, I go, "Hey, you want to know what that is?" I swear, he stopped dead in his tracks. I swear only one eye looked at me as he was horrified as to what I was about to tell him, and then I told him the story. But yeah, I swear just one eye looked at me. It was hilarious.
Chameleon.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my Joe story of the day. All right, let's start talking about
Nationals.
the Nationals. Yes,
Yeah.
are you going, Tony?
I'm not able to make it. My schedule. I know I'd love to go. If I could maybe fly out for a day or something like that and come sneaking back, that'd be great. But
Yeah, well, if anybody could do that, it'd be you. But are you going to at least send some cars?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
yeah.
I talked to Greg Dawes maybe 3 days ago, and just he put my Zeebzob Speed Shop logo up on his on a Mid America site.
Whoa.
But he put it. I'm not really a vendor. He put it under the league section. I'm like, ooh. I hope that people think I'm not trying to start a league, because I don't want to do that. But I do want to have a couple of races a year. But yeah, so Greg is very frazzled, as you can imagine right now. He's very busy trying to get this all together. And have you ever talked to Greg?
I have.
Yeah. Well, obviously you met him last year, but on the
I
phone?
talked to him quite a bit.
Do you? Okay.
No, I talked to him quite a bit at Mid America.
Oh, last year. Yeah.
I talked to him a little bit before the race as well.
Okay.
And he seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, and you don't know Greg, do you?
No,
Tony?
no.
Okay. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. That the amount of promoting that he does for the Nationals, and for Mid America, really. John's part is the Nationals, but that's part of Mid America. It's a whole big encompassing thing. But that guy is right now just tireless in his promoting of the race, and so hats off to you, Greg, if you're listening. We really appreciate that. But yeah, so we're planning to go out there. Did you guys read about Quick Time's exotic race car thing?
Yeah.
Wow, did you read about
No,
that?
I missed it.
So he was going to drive out to the Nationals with Downford Derby and John and all those guys. But so he's a mechanic, right, for Toyota.
Yeah.
And he gets this phone call. I don't remember exactly how it
Oh,
goes.
the race car thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like a Ferrari and a Lamborghini or something like that.
Absolutely.
Wow. How cool is that? I am so jealous.
Yeah, don't pass on that.
Yeah. So he's gonna fly out to the Nationals then after he gets done playing with these cool cars, and then play with the
Wait,
Whoa.
you weren't going to say toy cars.
No. Maybe I was, but
Smaller scale cars.
no, I was gonna say he's gonna come out and play with his 7 inches of wood. But
Whoa!
You need a symbol on it.
I got the Twitter bell. I could write that, but
you
that's all right.
Yeah.
So what are you flying that weekend, or
Yeah.
Where are you gonna be?
Europe,
Cool.
Frankfurt.
Guten Tag.
Yeah, it's good beer again.
Yeah. So you'll be sitting there with that big stein.
Actually, I'll be back at the hotel room with this. There's this one beer that my wife just absolutely loves. Both of us do. So when I find it at the grocery stores, I pack my bag with it as full as I can and bring it home. It's like I'm a hoarder. And I get it home, and honestly, God, it's this really incredibly awesome beer. Holy cow, what was it?
Oh, you're getting a text or something.
Yeah, man.
Your phone just flashed.
How many can you bring back, Tony?
Last time I got 9.
I will pay you full retail. You bring me one back next time.
Really? You want one? Oh, I'll just do
I do.
one. We have got like 4 left of those babies. It's this Hefeweizen light beer, but it's got this orange flavor to it.
I want to try it.
Oh man, it's awesome. And my brother-in-law used to run a bar. He tried it and he said, I'll take every bit of that you can bring back.
Wow.
So I'm converting we used to have these old leather flight cases.
Yeah.
They carried our manuals and stuff. Everybody's got one sitting around. I'm like, all right, that's going to be my beer stocking cooler. So I could probably pack 12 or 15 beers in that thing next time I come back. So
Nice.
I'm planning.
That's cool. One time, this is before, you know how you go like to even like Pick and Save and stuff now, you can find Mexican Cokes, the bottle of Coke that was made in Mexico. Ever see those?
No.
Yeah, well, they're made with real sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup.
Wow.
Okay, and they've got a little bit of different taste. You might be a little bit young for this, but because you're a few years younger than me. But when I was like a teenager, okay, in the 70s and early 80s, Coke was made with sugar.
Yeah. Dr. Pepper. You remember how that used to taste?
In Dublin, Texas, they still make it with sugar.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
I've tasted it.
A Dublin Dr. Pepper, you've had it?
Candy.
Do you ever get down there?
No, a buddy of mine he passed through there and brought us a whole case.
Really?
It lasted about 2 days.
I bet.
Honest to God, stuff is
Yeah.
like candy.
It is.
awesome.
Cane sugar?
Yeah.
Pure
Wow.
sugar.
Yeah.
You remember how good Dr. Pepper used to be?
Sure.
That's what
it's-
oh yeah, that's why
yeah.
they changed it because they don't make it with this.
So
pure
this
sugar.
this one bottler in Dublin, Texas, still makes it with sugar. They can still do it, and they've got a small distribution area that people flock to buy bottles of Dr. Pepper. Wow. Well, anyways, that's how Coke used to be in the 70s and early 80s. And one time I went to Mexico and I had a Coke down there. I'm like, wow, it's like it just flooded my head with these memories when I was a kid because it's slightly different than what Coke tastes like here. So, when I go to Mexico, I would, before, like I said, before you could find these bottles in the local grocery stores and the little Mexican markets around here, you couldn't find this stuff. And in fact, right around Easter time, if you go to some grocery stores, especially in the Jewish neighborhoods, they have what's called kosher Coke, 2-liter bottles of Coke. It's got a different colored cap, and that's made with sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. I found those once at Ascendix. I bought like 8 of them, because I bought them out. But anyway, so I would always bring back a couple of cans of Coke when I'd go to Mexico. And I have not been to Mexico in many, many years. But one year my in-laws went, and they're like, hey, can we bring anything back? I'm like, bring back some Coke, a couple of cans of Coke for me. So they brought back like 3 cans of Coke, and I treated those Cokes like they were gold. Yeah. I'm like, save them for a special occasion, I built a new house. Not special enough. I didn't, keep that. I turned 40 and I looked at that thing like, not special enough, So one day I'm watching TV and my brother-in-law was over and this and that, and he went to the fridge for something. All of a sudden he takes a sip of a soda and he goes, hey, it tastes funny. And I immediately knew. I'm like,
oh no.
I'm like, oh. He's like, what? I'm like, oh, it's just that's my Mexican Coke that I've been saving for 2 years,
Nice.
He's like, oh, you want it? I'm like, no, just enjoy it. I'm like, I should have drank it by now. So that was pretty funny. Yeah, I was kind of a hoarder. But the fact is now you can find those in any grocery store pretty much. If you go to the Mexican section, down in the bottom, like a Pick and Save, it's in a glass bottle. They'll have Pepsi like that too. If you go to Sam's Club, you can buy a case of them now. And they'll say Hencho in Mexico right on there. So
Mexico.
Yeah.
So now it's not special anymore.
But it's still damn good. Well, that's the thing with me. I can't have just like one soda. If you notice, I've been drinking water now for like the last, few weeks. Because if I have one Coke, it leads to 2 and it leads to 3. I am totally addicted to that
Pandora's
stuff.
box.
That's why I'm so fat. Yeah, I just love soda. I do.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my bringing stuff home from other countries story. But yeah, you must be able to just get some really cool stuff.
The place I like going to the best is Shanghai.
Oh.
They've got all that knockoff stuff. But you can pick up like hockey jerseys or baseball jerseys or some kind of stuff like that that's fun to bring back. And, just give it to friends and family. And
Sure.
stuff like that.
Todd's going to go relieve himself, and that's fine, Todd.
I'll be back.
Okay.
Let's stop the action.
I'll be back. Get yourself another beer while you're out there or something.
All right, I will.
So I can get to know Tony, and then this will give you something to listen to while you on the podcast. So, at any rate, yeah. So Shanghai, though, hey,
it's good.
Yeah.
It's got all the knockoff junk that is
Yeah.
out there. But I bring back some stuff for my wife, some clothes, and and workout outfit and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah?
It's so cheap.
I bet.
And of course, it's not made very well because it's a knockoff. So it
But
lasts.
some of that stuff's not so bad, though.
Some last,
Yeah.
and other stuff it starts unraveling. And I got a jacket, winter jacket for my son, and the thing lasts about 2 months.
Oh, really?
Came apart at the seams, the zipper broke, everything went bad on it.
No, that kind of
Kind
sucks.
of get what
Yeah.
you pay for there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's fun to go peruse the shopping areas. But it's like everybody's on you. You walk through there, and hey, he missed that.
Big American guy
Oh,
walking
dude,
through.
Totally,
Yeah.
I try to walk fast. But no, it's fun to go see. I mean, I grew up in Indiana, in a small town, and wrong side of the railroad tracks, and
Oh, really?
yeah. So you kind of like I never imagined I'd be doing something like this. It was just pure luck that I fell into it.
Sure. Yeah, and you were saying that before you moved here, you lived in Colorado.
Yeah,
How long did you live there?
since '97. So we were there for
Okay. And what area of Colorado?
southeast down in Parker.
Okay, because there are a couple racers from Colorado. Opa is from Colorado, and I think who are the other two guys? I think they're brothers. I think So Slow, and I'll have to ask Todd. Maybe he knows. I can't think of their names right now. But yeah, so there's a few racers from the Colorado area. But where'd you live before that?
Well, I bounced all over the place.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I was here in Chicago for a while, right after I got hired.
yeah,
And flying. So
right. Because you fly out of Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was here for a while, and then before that, I was Wyoming, West Virginia, St. Thomas, everywhere. You went everywhere you could just to get a job,
Right.
and it was always one more step up the ladder. Just a little bit bigger airplane, heavier airplane, all that stuff pays more and
Yeah.
more experience. So it's kind of like a step ladder every time you.
So now you fly out of O'Hare for United, right?
Yeah.
And when you were living in Colorado, were you still working for United?
Yeah.
But flying out of Denver, or
Yeah, out of Denver.
Okay,
That was
so you
one of
didn't
our
you didn't
building
commute.
sites. Yeah.
Because I knew a guy who he worked for Midwest Express before they sold to whoever, and then he then they laid a lot of their pilots off. Then he got a job for JetBlue
Sure.
out of I think he was flying out of LaGuardia,
New York, yeah.
and he was commuting.
Right.
And then after he figured, well, he's commuting, he might as well live somewhere warm. So he moved to Florida. So
And those guys that commute, I don't know how they do it.
I don't either.
You got to leave a day before your trip, and
Right.
at least I drive in. It's not that bad of a drive.
Sure.
And but people in Illinois are just insane the way they drive. Tell you the truth, it's you cross the border and it's like the Indy 500.
Oh yeah, it's insane. Like when you're here in Wisconsin and you have like a traffic accident, it just bottlenecks everything because everybody's gawking at it. In Illinois, they don't care. They just, there could be a car on fire and blood gushing out right by it. They don't want it to slow them down on their way to work or whatever.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you can take all the signs off the road, the highway, and I'll tell you when we cross the border.
Oh, sure.
Because of the way people drive.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe it was true. I really didn't. But I've been driving in for almost 2 years now. And,
Yeah.
and after a while, you just, it's the worst part of the drive is, here comes the border.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, and it begins, and
Yeah.
so it's almost like defensive driving when you get in there,
So, but I gotta say, Ian's a pretty good driver. Driven many hours with that guy, and he doesn't seem to be one of the typical. Well, he's not in the Chicago area though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So many people around there because it's just such a busy city. And
Oh, downtown's even worse.
oh yeah,
Even worse.
man. When we go, a lot of times, especially over like Christmas break or whatever, the kids are home. Well, what we like to do is go to like the Museum of Science and Industry or whatever. Take the kids down there for a day trip, and then at night go get some pizza down there. But man, I am just, even though I'm really doing probably 25 miles an hour in the streets down there, it's like white knuckling because it's like you're looking every which way. You don't want to get hit. It's crazy driving down there, Chicago.
Yeah.
Rookie.
And Todd is back with a fresh beer, and
Thanks, Tony.
there you go. He's putting his headphones back on. Hey, this is a professional type operation here, man.
It totally is.
And that's a little bit of my
All right.
OCD coming in, getting all
I'm
this
back.
crap. Good for you.
Sorry to be a rookie.
Joe Rogan shaved.
Yeah, he's
at that.
he's got the bald head now,
Oh,
which
man. Mr.
yeah.
Clean and Black is what he looks like.
yeah, I listened to his podcast and he talks about that. He had a couple of hair transplants.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he did Propecia and Minoxidil for many, many years, and it was just a losing battle. And finally, he said that he started shaving it. And I totally agree with him. He says that even if he could grow it back, he wouldn't. I love this shaved.
Yeah.
You know, I get out of the shower, just
Off you go.
pat my head down. I'm dry, I'm ready to go. You know, and the funny thing is, you know, people say, well, do you use like a shaving cream or whatever? And if I have shaving cream, I'll use it. But typically I'm out and I always forget to buy it. So I'll just take a little pump of my wife's shampoo that she's got in there and soap up my head. So the shampoo that I use for this is Big Sexy Hair. That's
Nice.
that's the name of it.
Nice.
And so I just soap up the top of my head and just shave it with my Dollar Shave Club.
razor.
And if any of you want to join the club, click on Morpheus's head on Zeebzob.com.
Did you say a pump of your wife's shampoo?
Yeah, it's got a pumper on it.
You couldn't just say a dab?
No, a pump.
A pump, okay. All right.
Where are you going with this gutter brain?
I don't know. A pump, I think of a shoe. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, I can see that. But no, because it's like a big ketchup pumper, you know.
I'm with you. I'm with you now.
Okay, good. All right, so I can see by the TV that the fights have started. So let's start putting the wraps on this one. Todd, anything else you want to talk about before we go?
Just really looking forward to nationals.
Yeah,
Hoping to do well there.
yeah. What classes you running?
I'm gonna run street stock. I'm gonna run eliminator, street rod, unlimited. I might take my crappy snail out and just donate $10.
Nice. What about governor?
No, that governor car, I took parts off it to make my son's scout car this year. So
Scavenge the parts. Yeah.
I would really need to build one, I think, to be competitive. So we'll see.
All right.
I've been working on a few things that probably won't work, but if they work, I'm hoping to.
Yeah. And what day are you going out there?
We're gonna drive out on Thursday.
Okay.
Get there Thursday. Hopefully, do some swimming and stuff. You know,
Nice.
it's gonna be my son and I, so gonna try to have as much fun as we can. But
And he's going to have some cars in the Mid America division.
yeah, he's gonna have an open. We're gonna redo his open Scout oil car from last year, and hopefully make it a bit faster with some lighter wheels and a few things I've been working on. So I'm hoping his Scout car is gonna be there.
Okay.
And I'm going to put another street stock in to the pro division, or I think John's going to run them all together, I believe, at Nationals. Hopefully I'm not letting the cat out of the bag. I think it's just going to be one street stock class. So
Okay.
I'm going to put a car in for my son as well in that street stock class.
Has he got a cool race name?
We're just going to call him E3 Junior.
E3 Junior. That's not bad.
If I thought he could stage in the 15 seconds, I think it'd be really cool
Yeah.
to hoist him up there and make him stage his own car.
Yeah. That'd be pretty. Do they have a clock on it this year? 15-second clock?
Yeah, I think we're trying to look at keeping it about 15 seconds or under.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, when you have a lot of classes like that, a lot of cars, 'cause I really think he's going to get a big car count. And if there is, yeah, that's one thing you're going to have to keep under control, because if it does get to be too long per car,
Sure.
that's just going to be murder.
well, I think the only person that's going to have a problem with the 15 seconds is me. But I'm going to make sure I'm with
I don't
him.
know if Dale goes out there, Spacewalker
boy.
goes. He's been known to. He's been known. I don't know what he does. What he back and forth with the car, but
I watched him the first live race. Well, the second race I ever went to was the Nationals. I mean, I went to a scout race, went to the Nationals. I'm watching his staging procedure, and I'm just like, wow, that's really involved. I mean,
Yeah.
he had the big baggy T-shirt on to wipe the wheels.
Yep.
I mean, he really had an elaborate setup going there to get him staged. But it's like, he was doing well, though. I mean,
that's when he was still smoking, eh?
he owned that eliminator class. But he was smoking the actual cigarettes back
Yeah, he's
then.
going out and
was.
stage a car, take a drag. So, yeah, he spent a lot of time out there on that chair.
There was probably some speed to be had there by leaving a little bit of smoke in the lungs.
Who
and
knows?
coming
Maybe
back in.
maybe a little tar on the wheels is what you need. But Tony, what are you running at the Nationals?
Probably just basics. I mean, I'd like to do another street stock, but my fenders just I didn't get the coverage I wanted
Gotcha.
aerodynamically, so I'll probably just concentrate on the basics.
Okay. And then you want me to take your cars out there for you so you don't have to worry about shipping?
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because then, there's no, they're not going to get punted around inside a USPS truck or anything, so.
Yeah, sure.
Have you talked to Rocket Car at all? He left those cans of jig out there. Am I supposed to take those to the National?
Is he trying to sell them or what?
Oh,
I don't know. I got 3 cases of jig.
Oh, I thought those were complimentary. Every time
Yeah,
I
I was
came
gonna-
over,
You've been taking
I've been
them?
taking 2
I was going
cans.
to take a case with me when
I
I went home
wouldn't.
today.
Are those somebody's?
One of them is labeled QuickTime.
Oh, sorry, guys. I've been taking them every time I came over.
So yeah, he's got 3 cases of jig out there. I don't know if he's saving on ship, but he
No,
didn't.
I think you're supposed to take them out.
Yeah, he didn't tell me about it, so that's kind of a. I'm like, what? Somebody left 3 cases of jig here. That's kind of an odd thing to leave.
Come on, Brian.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll listen to this and just give me a quick text or something and let me know what's going on with that. But at any rate, yeah. So Ian and I will be leaving Thursday as well. You staying at the Hampton Inn?
Hampton Inn, baby.
So yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a good crowd out there. Down for Derby, obviously he's going to be out there with John and Joel. Well, Joel will be flying in. Glenn Jukes says he's going to be out there, so that'll be pretty cool.
Big turnout.
Yeah.
That is one thing I'm really looking forward to. I've talked to some of these guys on the phone
Sure.
a few times or several times and never met them. Be kind of cool to put a face with a name. You know?
Yeah. So
that's one of the things I'm looking forward to is just seeing what these guys look like, and you know how it is when you meet somebody in person, you can get their personality. I think one of the things with the board is people can type something in.
and you don't know how to read it. Yeah.
You don't know how to read it because it's just text. They're probably typing it with their personality. And honestly, some people come off funny. Some people come off to me as being a complete jag.
Yeah.
Until you talk to them, and then you understand they're not a jag, that they just don't know how to.
I think that sometimes
But
I fall into that category. I'm the nicest guy ever, but
Yeah, right.
people think I'm a big dick.
Yeah, behind your back. Yeah,
I actually haven't heard that.
Really? Yeah, sure. You're just trying to be that because you want to drink all my beer all night. Oh, did you hear that somebody asked me what that whole gripper thing was on my board, the titles. So for those of you that don't know or didn't catch it, so as your post count goes up, your title changes from like 0 to 5 posts. You're a cherry, and then you start with the sport gripper, trainer gripper, and guide gripper, right? And all these, and then you'll go to the 0.5 gripper, the 1.0 gripper, and so on and so forth. So somebody asked me what that was, and that's my other hobby is I use grippers to strengthen my grip, And what I want to do is I want to close a Captain's of Crush number 3. That is like the gold standard of being able to crush one of those things, to close it. It's very difficult. I've got one upstairs. I'll bring it down if you want. But I'll bring those to the Nationals and people can try that stuff.
Which one did I try not too long ago that I couldn't even come close to closing? That was like the weak gripper. Right?
Yeah, it was one of the weaker ones. But I mean, a lot of it is technique. But really, it's not even so much the muscles in your hands, but it's the tendons. You got to get those things strong and get your forearms.
You're going to blow out people's forearms at Nationals with that thing.
Yeah.
Here, try this. Oh,
It's embarrassing how bad it was.
Yeah.
Thing it really
here,
is.
bring one down here. I'll stand.
Yeah,
up.
I'll
try to close by standing.
I got a couple of sets upstairs. I'll go bring some down. But
Look at these forearms. I'm not going to be able to close that thing.
you gotta, yeah.
I can pick stuff off the top shelves in the kitchen, but I can't use those things.
Yeah. And the reason I got into it, I saw a documentary called Pulling John. It's about arm wrestling. This guy named John Brezink, who lives actually in the Salt Lake City area. He's even older than I am. He's like close to 50, and the guy's been like world champion since he's been 18. Okay, yeah, it's fight time. We just got the notice. We'll be out in a minute. But so I was reading about John Brezink, and it was really interesting. If you ever get the chance to see his documentary, like I said, it's called Pulling John. It profiles him as he's kind of getting older in his career, but he's still able to just crush these guys in arm wrestling. He's an airline pilot, or not a pilot, but a mechanic. He took that job because he could get cheap flights all around the world to
way.
Yeah, that's
To go to arm wrestling.
To go arm wrestling, yeah.
That's crazy.
Because he doesn't make a lot of money doing arm wrestling, but he's able to fly cheaply. He goes all over. Anyway, one of his or actually the 2 other guys that they profiled in this, guy named Alexei Vodovev, something like that. He's a big Russian dude, and they show this guy training. He is just a monster. I mean, this guy, he just looks like a freak of nature. He's just so strong, and they show him. You know how kids will go up to a pole and they'll grab it and they'll try to hold their body sideways. They got that pole tucked tight against their chest and try to get their feet out at like a 90-degree. This guy's doing it with his hands over his head, and he's able to hold his body out like at a 90-degree angle.
And he's a big guy too.
Huge. He's got to be like probably 6'5". In fact, he just the last Olympics we had in 2014, the Winter Olympics in Sochi, he's on the Russian bobsled team. The 2-man, he's the pusher in the back, just a big dude. Yeah, I think they won the gold. So, and the other guy was Travis Bagent that they profiled. Now he was on that arm wrestling show, that reality show they had like a year ago. Just this big dude. He's like the best left-handed arm wrestler there is. But that dude's just a monster too. Anyways, what I was getting to is that I was reading about John Brzezinski, and he was talking about how in his prime he was real close to closing a Captain's of Crush number 3. But he said now that he's older and he hasn't really done it much, he's nowhere near it. I'm like, what the hell's a Captain's of Crush number 3, So I started looking at these things. I'm like, wow, these are pretty cool. I wonder how hard these would be. So then I started, getting them off of Amazon. They're like $25 a piece. And you don't know where to start, though. That's the thing. So I got one. And I was able to close it pretty quickly. Then you get another one that's a little harder and a little harder. Man, once you start getting up there on the 2.0, 2.5 range, those things, it takes some work to learn to close. What I find is I can't, like the 2.5, I can close that one now. But I couldn't close that until I got the 3 and started working on the 3. And now I'm going back to the 2.5. I can close that sucker. But that 3, I'm still... And here's the thing, too. If I work them, you get tired out real quick. If I try it today and tomorrow, I'd be like really bad. But if I tried it today and just left it alone for a couple of days, I come back to it 2 days from now, then I can give it another good crush and try it. And I can probably get that thing within about a half inch of closing. But that's tough, man.
You were telling me there's only a few people.
Well, the 3, there's quite a few people that can close the 3. But going beyond that, the 4. The 4 is the hardest one they have.
How many people have closed that?
Yeah, I want to say like 5 or less.
And they give you a certified, unused.
Yeah, what you do to get certified, you contact Iron Mind. They're like the parent company of Captain's of Crush, and you say, okay, I'm ready to try to close the number 3. And basically, for men, you get certified at like 3, 3.5, and 4, and I think women get certified at 2, 2.5, and beyond. And I think there's only been a couple of women that can close the 2.5 to date. There's been a couple that close the 2. But to get certified, you contact Iron Mind, and they say, okay, we'll send a representative to meet you, and you meet wherever, I don't know, your gym or whatever. And they'll send out a brand new Captain's of Crush number 3. And the official close of it, now, there's another gripper company called GHP, which is Gillingham High Performance. I actually like their grippers a little bit better. But the Captain's of Crush is the standard. What you do to close them is you set them in your hand, and you got to take a credit card, the short width of it, which is about 2 inches, and you got to be able to pass that credit card between the handles, and then give it you can, once you got it set, you can't touch it with your other hand. You swipe it with the credit card, and then you try to crush it. The GHP grippers, they have a little aluminum block that they sell that you use as your guide, and it's not quite as wide as the credit card. But they certify you at, and their grippers go from 1 to 10. And if you think of it like their number 7 to be equal to a number 3 on Captain's of Crush, their number 10 is like off the charts. That's beyond the 4. Nobody's ever closed that one. But
so these are calibrated grippers.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really calibrated, but they're, the spring diameter, they're all just torsion spring grippers. The spring diameter is a certain, thickness and all that, but there are companies that will rate them, and there is a variance. Your Captain's of Crush number 3 might be slightly different than my Captain's of Crush number 3, but they're within a certain range. But I'm glad you brought that up, because there was a guy who said we should have a standard on this, and this is how you become a mash monster. Okay,
mash
monster. The mash monster grips, what they do, and they've got a few different levels. But if you want to get certified on a mash monster, they send you a gripper, right? And you videotape yourself closing this, and there's certain criteria you got to meet. You got to measure the gripper and show that it's the one. Pull it out of the package that they send you. You try to close it, and if you do, whatever you're certified, you send that gripper back to them, and then they send that same gripper on to the next guy, so that you're all certifying on the same gripper. Yeah. So, anyways, that's the whole gripper story on my board.
So that's kind of a lofty personal goal for you then, if you're arm wrestling champion guy, even though he's, how old did you say he is, 57?
No, he's like probably 50 right now.
50,
Yeah.
Even though he's having trouble closing it. I mean, that's a lofty
Oh,
goal.
and that dude's got just monster forms. Yeah, but I mean...
I'm not discouraging you.
No,
I'm
no.
encouraging you, but that's a lofty goal. If you close it and he can't...
Well, I don't think he concentrates on it. I think if he did put his mind to it, he could do it.
He's just concentrating on breaking people's arms when he's arm wrestling them, right?
Yeah, what he does, he says he like has a gripper in the car, and he'll just like... It's not like the really super strong ones, but he'll just bang out like 200 reps on one that's not as heavy. Because I've got some grippers that I can just bang out like a couple hundred reps. My forearms just burn, dudes. I'm telling you, it's like I can't even. I'm like, oh, when I'm done, it's just crazy, But on the ones that are really tough, you could do like maybe 1 or 2 reps, and sure, your arms are sore, but you don't get that burn. Right. Oh man, that burn is just insane.
So let me ask you this:
Sure.
For arm wrestling, is there a left arm or left hand wrestling league? Because what if I'm right-handed and I can't wrestle left arm?
Right. Well,
That too.
What do you do?
no,
I only thought they arm wrestled right-handed.
No, there's left and right divisions, So,
okay.
Like this Travis Bajan, he's left-handed. He's very good at right-handed. Don't get me wrong, but there's like nobody can beat him left-handed. He's just insane. So
So if he loses right-handed, does he say, "Well,
it'll be like
I'll try left-handed.
yeah, no,
Come on.
Smart guy. Yeah,
left-handed right now"?
I'm not real sure on what the rules are, but I know they have like a right-handed champion or left-handed champion sometimes. So yeah, but
You can tell just by looking at them on the stage. Their whole left side of their
Whole left
body is
side
just enormous.
Did you ever see that commercial?
Yeah.
Super
It
Bowl
was just
commercial.
on there. That's why I saw it. It's awesome.
The whole town, the one arm is built up.
Could you imagine how crazy that'd be if one guy or one woman was left and right hand champion?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's some guys that probably could do that, but and it goes by different weight divisions too. This John Brzezinski was really interesting too because he's not really a heavyweight. He's more of like a light heavyweight or whatever, but he would pull the heavyweights and still beat them.
What was the reality show that was out for a while? I watched that a little bit. That had the arm
it was
wrestling
like
guys.
King of Arms or something like that.
Yeah,
Or,
I was most impressed. It was like camp against camp.
Yeah.
Thing.
Travis Bajan was on that.
Well, there was a guy that was like 160 pounds, and he took on a real big guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that big guy was getting his arm slammed so fast. I mean,
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
It was a bald-headed guy, goatee, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was an embarrassment, and he said so. I mean, this skinny guy, I don't want to say skinny, just lightweight guy.
Very lean and
And his dad, I thought, was a champion, an ex-champion or something. But just his technique, he was just flooring this guy.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe that difference of weight.
That explosion he gets
it was
when
nuts.
they go. Yeah.
The other guy outweighed him, I think, by about 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
He had nothing for him.
Right.
He might as well have just left his arm limp and let him put it down. It was that fast. What was that show?
It was like Master of Arms or King of Arms or something like that.
You remember that, right?
Oh yeah. It was only on for one season. I was hoping there'd be a second season. It was pretty interesting, I thought, anyways. But actually, Ian used one of those guys' pictures for his avatar.
Is that where they came from?
Yeah, that guy
the
with
crazy thing though
with
is
his eyes bulged out. And,
that guy kind of looks like
he does look like Ian. But he's much thinner, I guess. 'Cause Ian's just a big guy. But that was his avatar. And he got that crazy look on his face. Yeah, that was from that show. But
Cool.
all right, I can see that the TV's got the fight on. You guys going to go watch that?
Yeah.
All right. So this is Zeebzob, E3 and Fumbles signing off. Good job, guys.